Hello, I Gurmeet Singh welcome you to CREATA Classes. This is a complete lecture series on chapter statistics for class 10th students. And especially in this lecture, we will cover the exercise 13.2. For the other lectures, refer the link in the description. And also refer the description for formula list, quizzes and other resources related to class 10th mathematics. So without taking any further time, let's start with the lecture. So this is the question number 1. In this question, the data is given related to the age and the number of patient. On the first row, we are having age, which is given in the years. The second row, we are having the number of patients. For example, if we talk about this column, 6 number of patients are having the age between 5 to 15. 11 number of patients are between the age of 15 to 25. Similarly, the number of patients and their respective ages are given. In this question, we have to find the mode and mean of the given data and we have to compare the result. That is, we have to compare the value of the mode and mean. Okay. Firstly, we will find the mode. How we find the mode? We use this formula. The first step in using the formula of the mode is finding the modal class. And what is modal class? Modal class is the class which corresponds to maximum frequency. Can you locate the maximum frequency? Firstly, out of these two rows, which is the frequency? Frequency is how many times our observation is repeating. Here the age is the observation and number of patients is the frequency. That is how many times our observation is repeating is the frequency. So these all values are the frequency. And what is model class? Model class is the class which correspond to maximum frequency. Out of all these frequencies, 23 is the maximum frequency. And this class will be called the modal class, the class which corresponds to maximum frequency. Firstly, F1 is the maximum frequency or the frequency corresponding to model class. So we got 23 as F1. And next, finding F0 and F2. F0 is the frequency before our modal class frequency and F2 is the frequency after the modal class frequency. So here F0 is 21 and F2 is 14. Further, let's find the value of L and H. L is the lower limit of the model class. Here our model class is 35 to 45. 35 is the lower limit and 45 is the upper limit. So we got the value of L as 35, which is the lower limit of the model class. And what is H? H is the class interval. And how we calculate the class interval? It is upper limit minus lower limit, which is 45 minus 35, which will be 10. Got it? We got all the values. Let's put all the values into the formula. Let's solve it. On solving, we got the mode as 36.8. We got the mode which is between the modal class frequency, that is between the range 35 to 45. So our mode is correct. Got it? If the mode is below 35 or it is above 45, then we should doubt our answer. The mode should be between the upper range and the lower range of the modal class. We got one part of the question. Let's go to the next part in which we will find the mean. The various approaches to find the mean we have discussed in the previous lectures. Refer the link in the description. The first step, we will convert the rows into the columns. We got our standard table which we have used to calculate the mean. Here our age is the observation or the class and the number of patients is the frequency, which is F5. So what is the first step? The first step is finding the observation, which is the class marks, which is Xi. How we do that? We find the midpoint of the range, that is midpoint of the observations. For example, 5 to 15, what will be the midpoint? The midpoint is 10. So we got the class marks for first row as 10. We can also use the formula lower limit plus upper limit upon 2, which is 5 plus 15 upon 2, which is 10. Either you can use the formula or you can observe the range and locate the midpoint, whichever it is convenient to you. Next, 15 to 25, what will be the midpoint? It is 20. Similarly, 25 to 35, the midpoint is 30. Next, it is 40, 50 and 60. You are open to use the formula, or you can easily locate the midpoint by just looking at the range. Okay. Next step, let's find fi into xi, that is the multiplication of fi and xi. 6 into 10 it will be 60. 11 into 20 it is 220. 21 into 30 it is 630. Similarly 920, 700 and 300. We got the multiplication of fi into xi. So this is the formula of mean, the direct method, but you are also open to use the other methods that we have discussed in the previous lecture. You can go with the assumed mean method, or you can go with the step deviation method. The answer will not change. Here we are going with the direct method. And this is the formula of the direct method. We have to divide the sum of fi into xi with sum of fi. So firstly, let's find the sum of fi into xi, which will be 2830. Also, let's find the sum of all the frequencies, which is 80. So let's put the value, let's solve it. We got the mean of the data as 35.375 and we got the mode as 36.8. What does it mean? What does it symbolizing? Mean is average. We can say the average age of a patient admitted to the hospital is 35.37 years. That is around 35 years. The average age of the patient admitted to the hospital. While what is mode? Mode is the number which is repeating the maximum time. So here mode is 36.8, which means the maximum number of patients admitted in a hospital are of the age 36.8 year. That is the age, the maximum number of patients with this age. Okay, this is the interpretation of mode and mean. So we have done with this question. Let's move to question number 2. So this is the question number 2. Let's observe the question. That is our first step. Always start with observing the question. Do not directly jump with the formula. Observing the question is very, very important. So do not skip this step. So let's observe. In this question, the data is given regarding the observed lifetimes of 225 electrical component. We are having like 225 electrical component, and what is the total lifetime of those component? The data is given. Understand this question. In the first row, we are having the lifetime, that is in hours. How many hours our component lasts, the total lifetime of our electrical component. In the second row, we are having frequency. Frequency means the number of that component. For example, 10 component, 10 electrical component, the range of the life is between 0 to 20 hours. That is the lifetime of those component, very less hours. On the extreme right, we are having some component like 29 component whose lifetime is 100 to 120 hours. That is on the larger side. Okay. So we have observed the data. In this question, we have to find the modal lifetime of the component. It means we have to find the mode of the given data set. Let's do so. What is the first step in finding the mode? We will find the modal class. And how we find the modal class? We find the frequency, the maximum frequency, and the class corresponding to maximum frequency is the modal class. Firstly, identify the maximum frequency. Out of all of this data, 61 is the maximum frequency. So this class, the range 60 to 80 will be the model class. Got it? So let's use the formula of the mode and let's identify all the missing variable. Here F1 is the maximum frequency or the frequency corresponding to model class. 61 it will be F1. And F0 is the frequency before our model class frequency. So F0 it will be 52. And F2 is the frequency which is next to our model class frequency. So 38 will be F2. Got it? We got F0, F1 and F2. These three values are in the sequence. You can memorize in this way: F0, F1 and F2. Next, let's find L, that is the lower limit of the model class. Here our model class is 60 to 80. So 60 will be L, which is the lower limit of the model class. Next, the class interval. And how we calculate the class interval? That is H, upper limit minus lower limit. 80 minus 60, it is 20. We got the value of h as 20. We got all the values. Let's use the formula. Let's put all the values into the formula. Let's solve it. On solving, we got our answer as 65.625. That is a model lifeline of the component. That is 65.625 hour. Got it? That is the answer we have done with the question number 2. So this is the question number 3. Our first step, we will observe the data. The data is given with respect to the number of families and their expenditure. That is how much these families are expending in the month. The expenditure which is given in rupees. For example, 24 families are expending in the range of 1000 to 1500 rupees monthly. On the larger side, 7 families are expanding in the range of 4500 to 5000 rupees monthly. These are the ranges. So these are the data which is given in the question, and we have to find the mode as well as the mean. The modal monthly expenditure and mean monthly expenditure. So you got the question. Let's approach the question. First step, we will find the mean. You can start with the mode or you can start with the mean. It is up to you. We will start with the mean. Here the number of families is the frequency, that is how many times our observation is repeating. Here these all range are the observation. Our first step in calculating the mean is finding xi, which is the class mark. And how we do so? We find the midpoint of the range. For example, the midpoint of 1000 to 1500, it will be 1250. You can use the formula lower range plus upper range upon 2, 1000 plus 1500 upon 2, it will be 1250. Or you can observe the range and you can locate the midpoint. It is up to you. We will observe the range and we will locate the midpoint. The next range 1500 to 2000, the midpoint it will be 1750. Next 2000 to 2500, the midpoint it will be 2250. Next 2750, next 3250, then 3750, then 4250 and 4750. These all are the midpoint of the ranges. We got the value of xi. Now we are having two options, either to go with the direct method in which we calculate fi into xi, or we can go to the next method, that is the assumed mean method. And how we decide in which method we have to go? It depends on the simplicity of the equation. If we apply the direct mean method, we have to multiply fi into xi and the calculation will become tough. So to avoid the tough calculation, we will go with the next method, that is the assumed mean method. And what we do in the assumed mean method? We find a assumed mean. Out of all these values of xi, we assume one of the value as assumed mean and we subtract that value from all the values of the xi. Let's see what I am saying. Here let's locate the midpoint, which is 3250, and let's assume this value as assumed mean, which is a. We got a as 3250, but you are open to take any of the value as assumed mean, the answer will not change. Just for simplicity, we have taken the middle term. Okay. Next step, we will find deviation, which is a next column in the table, which is xi minus a. We will subtract the value of our assumed mean with all of this value. Let's see. So 1250 minus 3250, it will be minus 2000. 1750 minus 3250, it will be minus 1500. Similarly, minus 1000, minus 500, 0, 500, 1000, 1500. Okay, we have simply subtracted the value of assumed mean from all the values of xi. Okay, we got deviation, that is di. Again, we are having two options, either to go with the assumed mean method, which is the current method, or we can go with the next method, which is the step deviation method. And how we decide? Again, we go with the method in which our calculations are simple. Let's check whether we have to go with the next method. For that, we will check whether our values of the deviation are divisible with the class interval or not. Let's see what I mean. Firstly, let's find the class interval, which is the difference of upper limit minus lower limit. Here 1500 minus 1000, we got our class interval h as 500. In all these ranges, our class interval is same, that is h is equal to 500. Now we will check whether we can divide the values of the deviation with 500. If the answer is yes, we will go to the next method, that is a step deviation method, else we will retain the current method. So the answer is yes, we can easily divide all of these values of the deviation with the class interval, which is 500. So we will go with the step deviation method. Let's add one more column, which is ui. Let's divide the value of the deviation with 500. In the first row, we got minus 4. Next, it is minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. We got the values of ui. Our next step, we will add one more column and we will multiply fi with ui. Okay. So here let's multiply the frequency with ui. 24 into minus 4, it is minus 96. 40 into minus 3, it is minus 120. 33 into 2, it is minus 66. Similarly, minus 28, 0, 22, 32, and 21. We have multiplied fi with ui. Now let's take the formula. This is the formula of step deviation method. Here we have to find sum of fi into ui and sum of fi. So let's add all the values of fi into ui. We got sum of fi into ui as minus 235. Okay. Similarly, let's also add all the values of fi, which is sigma fi. It will comes out to be 200. You can do the addition or you can refer the question in which the data is given regarding 200 families of a village. Okay. So now we can use a formula here. A, that is the assumed mean, is equal to 30 to 50. H, that is the class interval, is equal to 500. So let's put the value, let's solve it. We got our answer, that is mean as 2662.5. That is the answer. We have calculated the mean. Note that this is only one part of the question. In this question, we also have to calculate the mode. So let's proceed with the mode. And how we find the mode? We locate the model class. And how we locate the model class? Model class is a class which corresponds to maximum frequency. So our first step, we have to locate the maximum frequency. Out of all these frequencies, 40 is the maximum frequency. So we will denote this frequency as f1. And we know the class corresponding to our maximum frequency is the model class. So 1500 to 2000, this class will be the model class. And we know the frequency before our model frequency, it is f0, and the frequency after our model frequency, it is f2. So f0 it is 24, f2 it is 33. Note that f0, f1 and f2, these all three frequencies are in sequence. Our next step, we will calculate the lower limit of the model class, which is L. So here L, it is 1500, which is the lower limit of the model class. Next step, let's calculate H, which is the class interval. Upper limit minus lower limit, 2000 minus 1500, it is 500, which we have also calculated in the mean calculations. Now we got all the values. Now we can easily use the formula of the mode. This is the formula of the mode. Let's put all the values. Let's solve it. We got our answer, that is mode as 1847.83. This is the answer, that is the mode of the observations. Okay, got it. We have solved this question. We have calculated the mean as well as we have calculated the mode. So we have done with this question. Let's move to next question. So this is the question number 4. Our first step, we will observe the data. The data is given related to the number of students per teacher in different states and union territories. On the first column, the number of students per teacher are given. In the second column, the number of states and UT are given. For example, 3 states or UTs are having the number of students per teacher in the range of 15 to 20. On the extreme end, we are having 2 states or union territories which are having the number of students per teacher as 50 to 55. Okay, These are the interpretation of the data. Now the question is, which is good? The first row it is good or the last row it is good? The number of students per teacher, it should be on the higher end or the lower end. Think and tell me in the comments which is good, the first row or the last row. Let's move further. In this question, we have to find the mode and the mean of the data and also do the interpretation of the result. Let's see. Firstly, let's find the mean. Here our first column, it is the observation, and the second column, it is the frequency, which is Fi. How many times our observations are repeating. Let's add one more column, which is Xi, the class marks. And how we find Xi? Xi is the midpoint of the range. For the first row 15 to 20, the midpoint it will be 17.5. You can use the formula upper range plus lower range upon 2. 15 plus 20 upon 2, it is 17.5. Or you can simply observe the range and locate the midpoint. Second row 20 to 25, the midpoint it will be 22.5. Next 25 to 30, the midpoint it will be 27.5. Similarly 32.5, 37.5, 42.5, 47.5 and 52.5. Our next step, either we can use a direct method or we can go to the next method. It depends on the simplicity of the calculation. Here, to avoid the complex calculation, we will go to the next method, that is the assumed mean method. And what is the first step in this method? We locate the assumed mean. So out of all these observations or xi, we will locate one of the point as assumed mean. You are open to use any of the value as assumed mean. Generally, we take the midpoint. So here let's take the point 37.5 as the assumed mean, which is A. And what is the next step? We find the deviation. We subtract all the values of xi with the assumed mean to get the value of the deviation, which is di. So here we will subtract the xi with assumed mean. Let's do so. 17.5 minus 37.5, it is minus 20. 22.5 minus 37.5, it is minus 15. Similarly, minus 10, minus 5, 0, 5, 10 and 15. We got the value of deviation. Now again we are having two methods, either to go with the assumed mean method or to go with the step deviation method. How we decide? We check the class interval. If the class interval is divisible with all the values of the deviation, we will go to the next method. Else we will retain the current method. So let's find class interval. How we do so? Upper range minus lower range is the class interval. So here 20 minus 15, the class interval h we got as 5. In all these ranges, the class interval is same, that is 5. We got the value of h as 5, and you can observe we can easily divide all the values of the deviation with 5. So yes, we will go to the next method, that is the step deviation method, in which we add one more column, which is ui, in which we divide the values of the deviation with class interval, which is 5. So let's divide all the values of di with 5. In the first row, minus 20 upon 5, we got minus 4. Then minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2 and 3. Observe that how simple our calculation has become. Like minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. All these values are very simple. Now our calculation will become very simple. This is the whole purpose of going to the next method, to simplify the calculations. So let's add the last column, which is fi into ui, in which we will multiply fi with ui. Let's do so. 3 into minus 4, it is minus 12. 8 into minus 3, it is minus 24. Next, it is minus 18, minus 10, 0, 0, 0 and 6. So we got the values of fi into ui. Our next step, we will do the addition of all the values of fi into ui to get sigma fi into ui. Let's add all this value. We got the result as minus 58. Similarly, we will also add all the values of the frequency. Let's do so. We got sigma fi is equal to 35. Note that here all these values are the number of states and union territories. Adding all the states and union territories, we got the values as 35. Now the question is India is having 35 number of states and union territories? Check and tell me in the comment section. If it is not 35, why we have taken it as 35? Tell me in the comment section. Let's see. Further, let's use the formula of the step deviation method. This is the formula. Here A is the assumed mean, which we have taken as 37.5. H is the class interval, which we have calculated as 5. Let's put all the values. On solving, we got mean as 29.214. So this is the average number of students per teacher, 29.214. Okay, we got the value of mean. Our next step, we will find the value of the mode. Let's do so. So let's use the formula of the mode and let's identify all the missing variable. What is the first step in finding the value of the mode? We locate the model class, and how we do so? We find the maximum frequency. The class corresponding to maximum frequency is the model class. So out of all these frequencies, which is the maximum frequency? 10 is the maximum frequency. So this class corresponding to maximum frequency is the model class. Here 10 is the maximum frequency, which is f1. And what is f0 and f2? And we know the frequency before our model frequency, it is f0, and the frequency after our model frequency, it is f2. So f0 it is 9 and f2 it is 3. And what is L? L is the lower range, which is 30, the lower range of the model class. And H, the class interval, we have already calculated as 5, upper range minus lower range. 35 minus 30, it is 5. This is the formula to calculate the mode, and we have calculated all the values of this formula. Let's put all the values. Let's solve it. We got the mode as 30.625. That is the answer. And what is the interpretation? What is mode? Mode is a number which is repeating maximum time, and mean is the average. You can check our video in which we have compared mode with the mean through the power of visualization. Check the link in the description. So we got mean as 29.214 and mode as 30.6. Mean is the average and mode is the number which is repeating maximum time. It means that on an average we are having 29 students per teacher. This is the mean, this is the average. And mode, the maximum time our number is repeating. Maximum time or most of the time we are having 30 students per teacher. One teacher is handling 30 students most of the time. And on average, one teacher is handling 29 students. This is the interpretation of the mean and the mode, or the average or the maximum number which is repeating. Got it? The detailed video of the comparison of the mean and mode, the link is given in the description. It is in the visualization form. You will be better able to understand there. So we have done with the question number 4. So this is the question number 5. Our first step, we will observe the question. In this question, the data is given regarding the number of runs scored by some of the top batsmen of the world in one-day international cricket matches. In the first column, the total runs are given, and in the second column, the number of batsmen are given. In the first row, the 4 batsmen have scored the run in the range of 3000 to 4000. On the extreme end, only one batsman have scored the run in the range of 10,000 to 11,000. Okay, so this is the data regarding the batsmen and their runs scored in one-day international cricket matches. A question to those who are interested in cricket. The question is that who is that top batsman who has scored in the range 10,000 to 11,000 run? This data may be old, maybe some of the new batsmen have also added in the topmost range. If you know, comment in the below comment section. Okay. So let's take down this question. In this question, we have to find the mode of the data. If only we have to find the mode of the data, then it is easy. The calculation will be simple. Once we have to also calculate the mean of the data, the calculation becomes slightly tough, or the extended calculation is also involved. In this question, we only have to find the mode of the data. Let's do so. Our first step, we will identify the modal class. And what is modal class? Modal class is the class corresponding to maximum frequency. So we have to identify the maximum frequency. Here the number of batsmen is the frequency column and the maximum frequency is 18. Like 18 batsmen have scored in the range 4000 to 5000 run. So here maximum frequency is 18 and the model class is 4000 to 5000. This is the first step and this is the formula of mode. Let's identify F0, F1 and F2. F1 is the frequency corresponding to model class or the maximum frequency. So F1 it is 18 and F0 is the frequency before the model class frequency. So 4 is F0 and F2 is the frequency after the model class frequency. So 9 is F2. We got F0, F1 and F2. Next it is L. L is the lower limit of the model class. So 4000, that is the lower limit of the model class range, it is L. Lastly it is H. H is the class interval. That is the difference in the range. Upper limit minus lower limit. 5000 minus 4000, it is 1000. We got H, that is class interval, as 1000. We got all the values. We can directly put it into the formula. Let's put it and let's solve it. On solving, we got the mode as 4608.69. That is the answer. The model runs scored by a batsman are 4608.7 runs. Note that our answer is in the range of the model class. Our model class range is from 4000 to 5000 and our answer is between 4000 to 5000. So our answer is correct. It is between upper range and lower range of the model class. So we have done with the question number 5. This is the question number 6. Our first step, let's observe the question. In this question, data is given regarding the number of cars passing on a given road. The question is that a student noted the number of cars passing through a spot on a road for 100 periods, each of 3 minutes, and summarized it in the table given below. So in this question, a student is sitting on the side of the road and he or she is noting the car passing by on the road. That student has done the observation for total 100 period and each period is 3 minutes long. Why that student is doing so, I do not know, but he or she has spent a lot of time in preparing this observation sheet. Okay, 100 periods and each period is 3 minutes long. So total 300 minutes of the observation. Let's see, in this question we have to find the mode of the data. If you observe, in the first row we are having the number of cars, in the second row we are having the frequency. For example, if we talk about this column, in the 7 periods, the range of the car passed is between 0 to 10. In the 14 periods, the range of car that has passed is 10 to 20. On the extreme right, in the 8 periods, the number of car passed are 70 to 80. Got it? This is the observation table and we have to find the mode of the given data. So this is the formula. Let's identify the various components of this formula. And what is the first step in calculating the mode? We find the modal class which corresponds to maximum frequency. So let's identify the maximum frequency. Here 20 is the maximum frequency, which is F1, and the class corresponding to maximum frequency is the modal class. So the range 40 to 50, this is the modal class. And what is F0 and F2? F0 is the frequency before our model class frequency and F2 is the frequency after the model class frequency. So F0 it is 12 and F2 it is 11. Okay. Next, let's find the value of L, which is the lower limit of the model class. This is the model class and the lower limit of the model class is 40. We got L as 40. Next, let's find the class interval, which is H, upper limit minus lower limit. 50 minus 40, it is 10. We got the value of H as 10. We have identified all the values of the formula. Let's put it into the formula. Let's solve it. We got our answer as 44.7. The model number of the cars are 44.7 cars. That is the answer. We have done with the question number 6. So students, we have done with this lecture. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture. If so, please like, share and subscribe. And also check out the description for various resources related to class 10th, like the continuing lecture, the lectures related to other topics, and the PDF of the formula list. All this in the description, check it out. So that's it for this lecture. Thank you very much for being with CREATA Classes. Have a great day. Bye for now.